asked the county commission to administratively correct this error in order to avoid litigation. First, let me give you some background. I bought a surplus parcel from the city in 2006. The resolution in question was never presented to me until 2 months after the closing. It wasn't until May of 2012 that I learned what the resolution actually said, when I received a threatening letter from Mr. Patty saying the city would nullify the sale unless I did as he said. I had to hire an attorney to respond, and we denied each and every allegation Mr. Patty made. Mr. Patty never responded to our letter, and we assumed the matter had been settled. I learned in late 2013 that the city still had the same position when I attempted to sell my property. I have been negotiating with the county attorney since the 1st of 2014 to resolve this matter, but they refused to reconsider, even in the face of indisputable evidence showing the resolution was and is invalid. The resolution is in violation of the city code at least 9 different times, of 9 different sections, excuse me. It also violates the city's policy for surplus property disposition and Robert's Rules of Order. I have submitted, and you should have my full statement in the handouts and all the evidence that supports my position. I'd like to briefly summarize, but before I do, I'd like you to pull out number 9 and 10 in my handout. Number 9 is the resolution. Number 10 is the list of violations of the city code. The city code and this resolution cannot coexist, because whenever it is stated in the city code that something shall be done, there is absolutely no wiggle room. It shall be done exactly as stated, or it's in violation of the code. May I point out that there are several penalties in the code for these violations. The city's code is based on Robert's Rules of Order. And when these rules are not followed, you have chaos, and an individual can lose their constitutional rights and freedoms. One last point. A resolution must be formatted properly in order to be valid. This document is not. There are 3 parts to a resolution. You have the title, you have the whereas statements, and finally, the resolved statement. As you can see in that resolution, there is no resolved statement. The so-called resolution merely states, now therefore, in consideration of the above recitals, Augusta and adjacent landowners will enter an agreement. To qualify as a resolution, it should have read, now therefore, it is hereby resolved. This document isn't even a valid agreement. For an agreement to be valid, it must be signed by all parties involved. As you can see, it was not. What this document represents is an unenforceable unilateral agreement that cannot stand. Because of this evidence, I am asking the Commission to instruct the county attorney to remove, repeal, or void the unjust resolution on file in the courthouse. And that concludes my statement.
This is the first time I've been in these chambers. And let me tell you, you guys should feel mighty proud to be able to sit in a place like Marion, and I did for quite a few years, and not know the people out in the audience until they got up to speed. But let me say that, that this is an issue that I think needs to go back to the tales of Paul Harvey. I'm going to give you page 2, and then the rest of the story. Dr. Bass lived across the lake from me. And he had been a very good neighbor, a good friend. We were companions in the golf association, but Dr. Bass started asking me back, I'd say before 2000, could I please get the city to sell him that peninsula? I was sitting on the commission, and he wanted to know if he could buy that peninsula there. And I said, well, I don't know, I haven't talked to him, but there's a possibility because we're trying to sell surplus property. Well, with that being said, it was almost at every event that he and I attended that question was raised to me. Can I get the city to sell him the property? I eventually convinced the attorney and the people that we may want to sell this property. And in doing so, and I'm not positive, but Mr. Williams may have not been at a meeting that day, but a figure was thrown out as to what Dr. Bass wanted to pay for it, and it came back later, that's not enough money. We need to do something else. So we did obtain an appraiser to go and look at the property, and it came back with a value of $12,500. In addition to that, an adjoining neighbor, who was Dr. Penn, who is deceased and no longer there, but was Mr. Garrett's father-in-law, was right adjacent to the same property that the city owned. So it was noted that the two of them would be in a position to buy this piece of property and then split it as long as they both maintained the easement that was granted or that was originally there for the city to have access to Lake Aumond. In addition to that, Dr. Bass said, I want to beautify that point, which he has done. He did a very nice job of it. He's planted some trees there, he planted bushes, and he got the approval. All of that being said, once Dr. Bass decided he wanted to sell his house, he would not sell this piece of property along with his house that he had been living in for a number of years. He wanted to maintain this strip of property in hopes of obtaining a building permit to build him a house on. So his intention when he purchased that lot was never to maintain beautifications or anything else of that nature, but down the road, as he matured in years, to build him another house on that 40-foot strip of land. So, I'll close because I want to make one final statement. It so states in this resolution, and I was sitting there on the chamber when this happened, that the property, such property, is unique as it is only originally 70 feet wide, which was to be dissected, on Camellia Road and the widest point as such, and property does not meet Augusta's requirements for a buildable lot. In addition to that, one of the items, Augusta will retain an easement across and through the property for ingress and egress to other property of Augusta, included but not limited to Lake Aumond. So my intentions was always good. I lived up to my commitment to Dr. Bass. And personally, I don't think he's living up to his to me. So I want to thank you all for that. I want to thank you for looking into it. And I would like for the attorney to have the time and the deliberation that he needs in any type of information that I can provide to your attorney or to you. I'll be happy to do so. Thank you, Mr. Webb.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So